What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 25 of More Wrestling's podcast. I'm joined by my co-host, Zach Rolfe. Today we've got on a special guest.
Three-time New York State place finisher, two-time New York State finalist, 2019 NHSCA Junior All-American, and now 2021 NCAA Division I National Qualifier. How's that sound, Micah?
Sounds good. Thank you.
How you feeling today?
Where were you and where did Coach Borchoff announce the news to you that you made it to the big dance?
I was just in my dorm. I thought it was going to be like later at night, but yeah, he just called me up like the minute that the wild cards came out and told me, and then all a lot of the freshmen around me, and they were pretty happy for me too. So it was good. Felt
That's
good.
Awesome. That's awesome. So before we get into your freshman year at Binghamton, let's start it back from the beginning. When did you get introduced to the sport of wrestling?
Right in kindergarten. My older brothers did it for a year or two, and my dad just decided to put me in it too.
So you were a part of the Lowville Youth Wrestling Club, and I watched you through the years, in the New York Youth Wrestling League, Northern New York Youth Wrestling League, Lowville, Adirondack, Governor, all the Frontier League schools. How did having a league like that, looking at that, you were a part of guys like Derek Span and O'Rourke and Andrew Tanner, and then you got the Indian River guys, Stefan Colbert and Sonny and the Copenhagen guys, the Governor guys that went on to, place in states, win states, wrestling Division I level. What kind of what did that, do for you as a youth wrestler and, and for the area, I guess?
It was awesome. It was great having so many people to look up to, to know what to work towards, like see what they're doing and see what I got to do to get to like where they are. And just like, as you know, the North Country is like just a really tight knit community, lots of support for like everybody. So it's awesome going out there and wrestling here.
Yeah. So you wrestled, youth, and then in middle school you weren't able to wrestle on the varsity level because you weren't, you didn't weigh enough, right? So when did you actually there's a funny story. I was talking to Kyle Windover, Kyle, and he said, like, you're at tournaments watching Isaiah, and obviously he was there, he was helping coach and doing what he was doing, and he fed you, he was feeding you at the concession stand just to bulk you up, because obviously you were going to be a stud wrestler, but you had to gain the weight to be a stud wrestler.
Yeah, I remember those days. I remember hanging out with Kyle. Yeah, he would always buy me food, buy me drinks, anything. So I was really small in middle school.
Right. So, your first year on varsity, you have a good year. You were 33-5 with 3 losses coming to Mason Bush, I believe it was. I can remember your semifinal match at the North Country tournament, and I remember what mat I was on as well. You were wrestling, Carter, Bebo Bear.
Yeah.
And I just remember watching that match, looking back. Obviously, you were 9th grader, he was a 7th grader, and just two of the North Country's future, and like really the state's future, right? I mean, you guys are from that year on to, this upcoming year or this past year in high school, you were, you guys were practicing together and all that stuff. It's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it's cool. Practicing with Carter Bear definitely helped me a lot. And it was cool to compete against him too. He's always been a great wrestler.
Yeah. Go ahead, Zach.
So we're going to move kind of up into your sophomore year. You kind of have a pretty big event take place in your life during this season. Kind of give a quick little summary. December 30th, 2017, Marie Bernadette Roes was driving when she lost control of a vehicle in the snow. She entered into the opposite lane of traffic and hit a front passenger side of an oncoming vehicle. She was transported to Syracuse shortly after arriving at a local hospital. There was talks of brain damage and various other injuries, but after the dust settled, Bernadette had a broken arm and had succumbed to a coma for the foreseeable future. Bernadette is yourself and your 3 siblings' mother, right?
Yep.
And you have 2 older brothers and a younger sister?
Yep.
So kind of walk me through that day and the events kind of leading up to you and your siblings finding out what happened.
It was a normal day, and I just remember I was actually watching YouTube on my phone in my brother's room when my dad came in and just told me the news of like what happened. We had to like rush to the hospital, and I didn't really know what to feel or think because I've never been in a situation like that before. But yeah, so that went down, and we rushed to our like local hospital, and then my mom was rushed to like Syracuse, like a bigger hospital, better one. And so we drove down there, and I mean, yeah, that night was just terrible, but I didn't even know how to like process it. I don't think my brothers and sister knew how to process it, but we knew it was going to be a long road, and we know it is now today. But yeah, I didn't know what to think at the time at all.
Yeah, how did you guys like continue? Like, what went into deciding to keep wrestling and finish your season?
After like a week, we were actually on break, like winter break at the time, and I didn't want to go back to school. I didn't want to wrestle. I didn't want to do anything. And Isaiah, my older brother, didn't really want to either. I mean, I was really down in the dumps, and I didn't want to leave the hospital. I just wanted to stay there every day. And just those are like a lot of my family, uncles, my coach, they all kind of encouraged me to just keep wrestling and just do what I do it just do what was best, try to keep moving forward. And so I started to, and I realized that that's when I really started to get into wrestling. Like I could use wrestling as an outlet from the world and just focus on that. And so that's what I did. And that's when I started really improving in wrestling. And so I'm very grateful for wrestling for that, for it to be just like a outlet from the outside world and all the problems where I can just go in the room and have some fun.
Yeah, I know. I've definitely used wrestling in a similar light. Kind of get away from the world, go into the wrestling room, and just kind of like it's like a whole different planet almost, like different atmosphere when you're in there. Not really like seeing the outside world at the time. Yeah, one of the things that I noticed was you guys actually wrestled 4 days later. You and your brother actually competed in a dual meet against Carthage. Like, how do you gather your thoughts? I mean, it's been just over 72 hours, and you guys are, I mean, making weight and getting ready to go, and you guys are actually scrapping. Like, what did your coaches say to you that day, going into a dual meet with Carthage 4 days after the accident?
Like I said before, like the whole North Country, like the amount of like support me and Isaiah had going just into that match, and it wasn't a very big match for either of us, but just like moving forward, the amount of people that reached out, like, and yeah, my coaches like just encouraging me and my dad and my family, but like it was felt like just a big family around us, and we just it was all like it was all right. Like it was going back to it, it was better than I thought it was gonna be, like competing again, and so yeah, we just kept going.
So, you mentioned that you started to really kind of pick it up and kind of feel that you were really improving in wrestling, and it really showed that season as you and your brother both went off in really big win streaks that year. Isaiah had 25 straight wins after the accident. You ended up going on 23 straight wins. Um, Isaiah had never placed higher than sixth in the section before that, right? And he goes into the state tournament and he gets on the podium, and you go to the state tournament and you end up losing first round, and you battle all the way back to fourth place, actually avenging that loss that you had in the first round in the Conci semis. What kind of emotions did you feel throughout the season and at sectionals and going through that whole season altogether? Like
That
with your
whole
brother?
season, yeah, that whole season, it was a blessing to have my brother with me. I missed those times having him on the team, but yeah, it was awesome to be able to just compete. And that was my first year with our new head coach, Joy Widrick, and he was just awesome to be coached by too. He was a great guy and just encouraged us both every step of the way. But yeah, we did it as a team, and we kept moving forward as a team, and it just felt great to go to the state tournament and both of us like be on the podium. That first match, like just being in the state tournament, it was just a huge stage I've never been to, and I just don't think I was ready for it, and I got shocked and lost, but I kind of settled after that and started wrestling again how I should be.
Yeah, kind of like you guys. I mean, Isaiah had like almost like a barn burner in the finals of sectionals that year. He ended up, I think it was like a takedown with like 10 seconds
Yeah.
left or something like that. Kind of talk about how you witnessing that. You had already won your sectional title, right, at that point. So you're watching this match, and with everything that happened that season and seeing that final takedown, like what were you feeling?
Well, I knew that, and Isaiah would like was telling us after too that like after I won, it would have just been like it wouldn't have even really mattered if wouldn't have won. So it was just I felt bad for him because he knew he had like kind of a lot of pressure on his back, and just like that last takedown just felt so good. I mean, honestly, felt better when he won than it did when I won. It just it was like a perfect day. Felt great for me and my family.
So, you guys winning sectional titles was, a first since 2002. As Loudville, two Loudville guys won sectional titles in the same year. And then I believe obviously you both placed in states as well. And I don't think that had happened till, 2002. That was the same year. I believe it was Josh Herzik and Jeff Peebles. Um, Not only what does that do for your family, but or not for your family, but Loudville, the community of itself. Obviously I know Loudville's a wrestling town. My dad wrestled there. My cousins wrestled there. My cousin, placed in states there a couple years ago. What does that do for the community of Loudville? And then, more importantly for you and your family, what you guys went through that year.
It was awesome. Just leading up to it, leading up to the state tournament itself, the town was just right there with us and just like standing up for us. And then after we both placed, they just welcomed us with open arms. We had like a parade back in and like a parade out. It just felt great to like be in that situation. And with a town like that, it's hard to, even if you do bet, it's hard to be down for too long because you got a community like that around you.
Absolutely.
Kind of, how's your mom doing today? Like, what's going on with her? Like, give a little update.
About 2 years ago, she came home and still in a coma, but my dad wanted to take care of her at home. So to this day, we've been taking care of her at home. My dad's been kind of taking charge in that and has been taking care of her for the past 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something else. I didn't know the the update as well. I've got a ton of family in Loudville, a ton of friends and whatnot, and I had no idea. So moving on from your sophomore year to your junior year, it seemed like you made a big jump. You spent time at Neesum's, Jason Carroll's with Neesum and them. And then you went down. You competed with Zach down at Armspin Army. You spent some time at the Grain House. That was before Kenny Courts took over. And, you went to the Bears Den, like I mentioned earlier. Like, what went into making that jump from your sophomore year, placing at states to, making the state finals that summer? What went into that dedication and just the jump you made?
Just constantly working. And then just when you do go into practice, like I used to just go into practice and just practice, but like having coaches like Anisam, like really going in and really just going in just to learn and trying to like sit and learn, that helped a lot. And that's what really improved my wrestling, is like learning from better people, better coaches like that.
Yeah. So you start your junior year at the Valley Duels. You bumped up and you wrestled Central Valley's, in the duel against Central Valley, you bumped up, you wrestled Merrick Bush. He was a returning New York State champ at the time. And then, you wrestled Dante Geislinger from Norwich. He bumped up to wrestle you. He was a returning state champ at 99 the year prior as well. So, you wrestled two returning state champs, but, you lost to Bush. But what did that win over Dante do, for your confidence? It kind of was a big buzz, I know, on the CNY forums as well that year.
It felt good, but I felt that's what was expected of me. I really wanted the win over Merrick, and I wrestled him 2 more times after that, or once more after that the next year, and never got it. But it's always good in the beginning of the season to jump up or just to get that competition, because you're always focused on the end of the season. So whatever competition you can get during the season, you should go for that.
Right on. So you follow that up with a Leo J. Salmon tourney title. You wrestled Mason Bush in the finals, a guy I mentioned, you lost to. You lost more to him early on in your year, but you got the best of him, as the years went on. And then a week later, you take 7th place at the Eastern States. You lost an exciting match to Anthony Noto, which was a 2-time New York State champ at the time. Then you also lost to Mason at that weekend, but you had a big win over Terry Adams, which is a returning New York State champ over in the D1 side. That was your first in-season tournament that really battle tested you for the postseason, the state tournament. What did you take away from going down there wrestling and taking 7th?
That tournament was kind of crazy. I remember wrestling Anthony Noto, and I was like, it was a close match, and I was winning with short time and just stupid mental mistakes, lost the match, and that kind of shook me. That one definitely hurt. And then I had to wrestle Mason kind of like right after. And I remember he got a quick 5 points, like a takedown to backs, and I came back, but I think he got a late takedown. I lost that match. Yeah, and then yeah, that whole tournament was crazy, but it was definitely I definitely needed that for the end of the season to wrestle kids like that at a tournament like that. It was awesome, even though I didn't go as I wanted it to. Felt good to wrestle like that, and just helped me for the end of the season.
So you make the finals of the state tournament against Anthony Noda. You get a rematch, as you just talked about. It was a really exciting match. You had a lead late. You know, it's your first trip in the finals. What were you feeling? How was your confidence going into a match? Kind of walk me through, after that semis that morning. Like, how does your day go?
After the semis, I just tried to relax. I didn't want to make it seem bigger in my head than it is, which is hard when you're going into the state finals. But um, yeah, I don't know. Tried to stay calm. Just hung out with my family and prepared as best I could without overthinking it. But yeah, and got in the finals and just made another mistake. I actually think it was the same thing I did at Eastern States. Same
Yeah,
shot,
yeah. I remember that very vividly.
and
Elbows were
you
out. He
know,
got planted. Yeah.
ended up getting pinned. You know,
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, you did lose that match, but you kind of got right back on the grind after the season. We all traveled down to Virginia Beach for the NHSCA national duels or a national tournament where you actually were able to finish as an All-American for the first time. Um, why was that tournament important to you? I know we've talked about it a few times, on the way down there, or, while we're down there, like you, and I know you're and Ncaa wrestling club partners and stuff. We're always traveling down there. Why was that tournament important to you?
Virginia Beach is a big tournament. In the year before that, I went and never really did well, but I went there kind of on a mission to do well this time, and I won a lot of matches. I forget how many, but yeah, I ended up taking seventh, and yeah, it felt good. Felt meant a lot to me, and showed that I was improving and that I could get to where I want to be if I keep working hard.
Yeah, so I remember a one of my favorite memories of being down there that weekend. After you secured your All American status, you and Drew and Zach Levy all decided to get in some swim trunks because it's March. You can't go to the beach yet, so you guys decided to have a little fun in the tub. May or may not have may or may not have broke the shower curtain a little bit, but you know the way I look at that, you just secured All American. You have another day left of wrestling. Was it important to you to kind of get the stress of the tournament out of your head and just kind of relax and have a good time?
Yeah, definitely. I knew that like if I just sat there and thought about the tournament, I wouldn't be able to sleep and I wouldn't be able to have fun. But we were in Virginia Beach, so and I mean that tournament's kind of like a wrestling vacation. So I tried to enjoy it as much as I could. And tried to just relax, and yeah, it was fun.
So moving on to your senior year, I guess going to the Valley Duels and going undefeated, wasn't in your cards. But you seeked out the competition. You bumped up, as you mentioned. You wrestled Merrick Bush again, and then you went to the Eastern States and you wrestled a few of the large school studs. I think Rocco. You lost to current teammate of yours, Ivan Garcia. But then you cruise into Albany, and after winning your third Section 3 title and with a 40-4 record, entering the state tournament as a 2 seed, you start the state tournament with a pin, a major, and then a semis win over returning state finalist Caleb Svengala. You were able to get the 5-3 decision in the semis. You made it to the finals. I remember, obviously, Bebo was in the finals, and I watched you guys warm up on the mats, and you both looked very calm and cool and collected. You were already there once. What was different in the preparation between, after your win on Friday afternoon semis to the state finals? You kind of looked different than you did the year prior.
Yeah, I was calm, and I kind of knew what I needed to do if I wanted to win. And I know it didn't go as planned, but I was I was confident and I was ready to go. And yeah, Jordan Titus, he's a real tough opponent, and at the time he was just a better wrestler than me, so he did get the best of me. But yeah, it felt good to be there again, to be able to compete and just have the opportunity to win the state title again. Because like a week after, COVID hit, and so say the state tournament was a week later, I would have never even got the chance. So I was grateful just to wrestle.
Yeah, good point of view.
So you lose in the state finals for the second time, and that just it has to be a different kind of hard feeling, right? When you're walking out of Albany last year, what are you thinking? Obviously COVID aside, like walking out of Times Union Arena, stepping off the podium, what are you feeling? What are you thinking?
I was really frustrated. I know a lot of people were telling me that I did a good job. I had tough opponents, but I was honestly just really frustrated. I knew I put in a lot of work and to just never get a state title, which is what I like dreamed of basically my whole career, to never get that really hurts today. But yeah, that drives me. That definitely drives me every day. But yeah, mostly just frustration that I couldn't get what I wanted. But it happens.
All right, so high school career, comes to an end. What was the recruiting process like for you? You placed at NHSCA's, you're a state finalist. What kind of did you have any interest coming out of school?
Um, I remember actually the freestyle states. I think it was junior year. Drew actually had like a junior day at Binghamton,
Hmm.
and he asked if I should go, so he like got like the coach's contacts for me, and I like talked to the coach a little bit, and I ended up going there for like the junior day, and that was so Drew actually introduced me to Binghamton, and so that's kind of how I first met the coaches and stuff. But yeah, so after that day, like I was talking to a couple colleges, and I really liked Binghamton, honestly. At first, I wasn't really looking at Binghamton, but I realized how close it was to home, and just like the coaches, I love the coaches, and the team was great. So
Did
yeah.
you take any visits anywhere else?
Um, no, I didn't take any more like official visits. I had some lined up, but I took my first official at Binghamton, and I honestly didn't really want to look anywhere. I didn't. I know that kind of sounds bad, but I had other officials kind of lined up, but I knew I wanted to go to Binghamton. I knew that's where I should be, so I committed a couple weeks after that, or a month or two after that.
So you step on campus for the first time. You go to your first practice. Are you in your head thinking I'm going to be the starter?
I
Be honest,
honestly,
it's okay.
I had no idea. When I first got there, I didn't think so. Um, just kids are tough here, and I was losing in practice a good amount, and yeah, wasn't sure I was gonna start, but kept working, and I improved faster than I thought. Couldn't I? Wrestling these kids, can't really tell if you're even really improving, but you get to like competition time and wrestle offs, and then you realize you really are.
Yeah, I remember we talked late November after you guys had like an early wrestle off or some situation. You actually, I think you told me you got majored in that wrestle off, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 11-3.
Yeah, something like I remember we talked about it pretty closely. But so then you kind of you said very really, I can't wait to wrestle, down to weight, and you
Yeah,
you end up you end up getting that final wrestle off, and you actually controlled both matches really easily. Really, the first match you controlled. I think it ended up being like a 7-3 kind of controlling win, and then the second match you majored him, right? You,
yeah.
you secured the major, and you know talk about you get that major. You're now the starter of the Division 1 program. Like how did that feel?
It felt good, but I still wasn't sure what to think. But it felt good to start, and I just remember like we had that wrestle off, and then the next week we were wrestling Ryder, and so I didn't, I don't know if I had much confidence in myself going into like knowing I was a starter as a freshman going into a big like match against like Ryder, and I remember that like Thursday before the match, Kyle, I was like working out in the wrestling room early morning, just getting some weight off, and it was just me and Kyle in the wrestling room, and he sat me down and we were talking for a while, and he just said that he was just saying he's like got real high hopes for me. He's real proud of me, and he said um, that I believe you can make the national tournament this year and qualify for it. And I just at the time I really didn't think so, to be honest. I didn't believe in myself that I could really get there, and but I knew my coaches did, and that helped a lot. For him to say that, it meant a lot to me, and that's just kind of what I kept working towards.
So first match, like you mentioned, wrestling Ryder, you're wrestling against a redshirt senior, Jonathan Trapea. Did you know who he was or any idea like that he was nationally ranked going into that match?
I knew a little bit, but to be honest, like in high school, I would always look into matches too much, look into kids, like study them, watch all the film on them I could, and I would just kind of psych myself out. But in college, I just like before my first match, didn't really watch any film. I let the coaches do the thinking for me. They told me what the kid does, what he's good at, and I started going into matches a lot more calm this year, a lot more collected and just focusing on scoring points, which is what I didn't do in the past. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I feel like that's helped me a lot to just not overthink these matches and just wrestle to the best of my ability.
So you couldn't have had a better debut match, a more dramatic debut match than you did, and that's kind of the Micah way that I've come to know. Right, you really enjoy scaring people and giving us all heart attacks because you gave up the first two takedowns in that match, right?
Yep, first two,
Yeah,
first period too.
you come out, you secure a takedown at the end of the first, and you in the second period you kind of put a little saddle on the guy, get a turn. I think you got two turns in the second period.
Yeah.
Eventually securing the fall, I think with 1 second to go in the match.
Yeah.
After having you actually built a nice lead, you ended up having enough points to end the match with a major decision. But you clinch it, you get the pin, you get up, you're celebrating, you're going nuts. You started off a real nice, started off a spark for your team to kind of start off. How did that feel getting that pinfall?
That felt awesome. It just felt great to have like the hard work pay off. And it felt great to give the team 6 points. And we ended up winning that match against Ryder. And Binghamton, I believe, wasn't supposed to beat Ryder. They're a great team. But we all wrestled great, and it felt great to beat them.
Yeah, so I don't want to look ahead. You talking about you had a great win over Ryder, right? Ryder went on to beat Lehigh in a duel later on in the year. I know you guys were right there with Lehigh. You guys beat Army. Looking at your roster, you guys return your whole starting lineup, right? I mean, what? I don't want to look ahead, but how excited are you for what Borshoff and staff are building at Binghamton with a returning lineup? And you guys have got a young crew, right? You, Brevin Casella, Jake Nolan's a sophomore, Dupre's a sophomore, obviously Louis a junior, and you got Day and Doyle up top. It's an exciting time to be a Bearcat fan.
Yeah, we're a pretty young team, and it's going to be great. I know we're all going to get a lot better, but yeah, we're a young team. We're going to improve a lot. I'm excited to see how far we go. I think we got a lot of potential, and I feel like we could be a top team.
Yeah. So talking back, about your win, obviously you had wins over, Sheldon Seymour, two-time Pennsylvania state champ. You beat Chauvin of Army, you beat Cockrell of LIU. But looking back, that first win of your year, you had a good career, or you had a good season record and all. But that win, I think, really helped solidify your at-large, bid because Tropez was an automatic qualifier in the max, as you know. And looking back, that win was big. But what have you been doing the last 12 days since the EIWAs, 12, 13 days, whatever it's been?
We had that weekend off after the EIWA tournament, but right after my last match, my coach just said, don't hang your head too long. I feel like you got a good chance of getting in. So that's what I did. We just went back to work on Monday, and I've been training and just preparing ever since.
So, what are you looking forward to most in your first trip to the NCAA tournament, right? We talked about the NCAAs, and we've got Nick Wisdowski over here, right? He was one of the true freshmen out of New York, Josh Patterson being the other one. What are you looking forward to most in your first trip?
Man, I haven't even really thought about it much. Just having fun. Really soaking in the opportunity that I have. I am blessed and grateful to be here, and I'm just going to make the most of it and just wrestle to the best of my ability.
Yeah, so you talked about your time, and you didn't win a state title, and that kind of bothers you and whatnot. But there's also another Frontier League guy that did not win a state title, and he wrestled for Binghamton. Justin Lister, right? He found his way on the podium out there at NCAA. So with your mindset of you're down in the dumps, you didn't win a state title, but you've got a bright future, obviously making to the NCAA tournament as a freshman, a true freshman at that. You got 4 more years after this. That's huge. I want to talk about, your, growing up in Lowville, small town, right? We kind of joke there's more cows than there are people up here, especially in Lewis County, right? Who is one of your biggest role models and somebody that you looked up to, when you're in Pee-wees through varsity as a wrestler?
Oh man, I looked up to Connor Steria a lot. I just honestly looked up to anybody that was on varsity for Lowville. When I was little, I didn't realize like who was like actually like really good and who was like great. I didn't like follow like college at all. I didn't know much about wrestling, so I just looked up to anybody that was on varsity, and I thought they were like the coolest people in the world. And so whenever they would win, I would want to be that. I would want to be getting my hand raised like they are.
Right. Go ahead, Zach.
So we're gonna kind of go a little more casual at this point. I have a little bit of weird questions, maybe a little experience questions. What is your worst weight cutting experience?
My first time at Fargo, I made the second day. I wasn't sure if I was going to make the second day, but I ended up making the second day. And at Fargo, you like weigh in the night before and then wrestle that whole day, and then you weigh in the next day. And so I remember I was like, after that last day, I was like 7 over the night before. And this was when I was like real light, so I couldn't just cut weight like that. And it was just, I remember it was terrible. We had like a niece in there, and he had me like running just in the parking lot in the sun for hours. And then we had to get up at right at the tournament, I ran for a couple hours, and it was like 9 at night, and we got up at 4 in the morning, and I ran some more, and I barely made it. But yeah. And then I ended up losing the first match of that day.
Oh, man. So you were on that 7 pounds off and you make weight. What'd you put in your body as a young cadet at Fargo?
I don't even remember. Actually, I think I had a sub and then just water, I think.
We're talking, we're from the same area, right? Same geographic area up in Northern New York. What, if you're not wrestling, what are you doing? What's your favorite activity outside of wrestling?
Play a lot of spike ball. I used to ride a lot of dirt bike with my dad, but as we got older, we probably should stop doing that before I get hurt. And so I kind of stopped, like shied away from that. But yeah, just hanging out with friends, play some video games, get into that a little bit. Yeah.
One of my last questions I want to ask you is, what's one piece of advice that you would give an athlete, facing adversity, going on to wrestle, from a small high school, and now you're having success early on in your college career? What's a piece of advice for a younger athlete, in high school and the varsity level? What would you say?
Stay the course. Don't get too discouraged when you're down. Just trust in your training and trust in your coaches. Your coaches want what's best for you, and I found that out this year a lot, that the coaches are going to do everything to get you where you want to be. And if you just believe, trust in them, and just do what they tell you, you're going to get there.
You got anything else, Zach?
Who is the most influential person in your life?
Probably my dad. Just seeing everything he does with my mom, just doing everything for her, and then at the same time doing everything for our family. I look up to him a lot, and it's an awesome thing that I made the national tournament, because now he can come watch me. There hasn't been any visitors allowed to any of the tournaments or matches, so to be able to have him come out and watch me in St. Louis is going to be great.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm excited. I can't wait to watch you either.
Yeah, but that's all I have. Anything else you want to add, Zach?
No. You have any shout outs or anything you want to give out, Micah?
No.
What's your Instagram? Let the guys follow you.
I think it's Micah Roes 27.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
How do you not even know your Instagram?
Yeah, Micah_Roes 27.
I'll give you a tag when we post the description and whatnot. But I appreciate you for having us on, or for joining us, and good luck to you at the NCAA's next week.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. See you.
Hey, you like the video? Make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, leave a comment down below, interact with us on social media. Those are linked in the bio down below. Thanks for watching. Peace out.